the viewers, on the sidelines of PowerGen India, I have with me Mr. P.K. Pujari, IAS retired. He is Honorary Chairperson, ENCIS, and former Chairperson of CERC and former Power Secretary of the Government of India. Mr. P.K. Pujari, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me begin this interview by asking you these questions. As India looks ahead to 2047, what major shifts do you think will define the country's electricity and energy future?
So the emphasis by Government of India has been on decarbonizations. Traditionally, our energy sector, specifically the electricity sector, was dependent or heavily dependent on fossil fuel like coal. And last decade, we have gradually built the capacity on the renewable, that is both solar and wind. Now this is going to increase over time. So gradually there will be more greening of the grid, more renewable will come to the grid. So the mix, the energy mix is going to change from heavily tilted towards fossil fuel to more of renewable. That's number one. Number two, the type of grid we used to have, it used to be highly centralized, and generation used to be centralized, and then distribution used to be decentralized. Now the consumers, because of access to rooftop and technology, will become also prosumers. They will not only consume electricity, they also produce. So the generation will be decentralized. So generation will be more of renewable and also decentralized. So this has its own challenges, but this is how it's going to move. Thirdly, electricity will replace fossil fuel like diesel, oil and gas. And the transport sector, which is again dependent heavily on the imported fuel, petrol, right, will also become electrified. So these are the three key features that's going to happen in the coming years, and we should be prepared for that.
Okay. How can regulation evolve to both encourage clean energy growth and protect consumer interest?
Both the Government of India and the regulators, I mean, when I say regulators, it is a central regulator and also the state regulators have taken a lot of initiative to encourage renewable establishment of renewable generation. We are on the right track. Now the policy needs to be, or the regulations also need to be recalibrated over the time, because what is required at the initial stage may not be required when a certain tipping point comes in. Like there was a policy which was to give waiver of transmission charges to the renewable. Now that was done when the renewable was, we just started having renewable capacity in the system. But now after 10 years, maybe today government has now gradually withdrawing that facility because it's not required anymore, because they become more competitive, the price. So it is always, always better to evaluate the existing policies and regulations and see how and what changes can be brought in to take care of the market situation, the technological development, and the new areas that are emerging. Like for example, 10 years back, battery was not there. Today, battery is coming more competitive. So what are the policy regulations that we need to have to encourage battery? So this constant review is important, and it is a dynamic process.
What role do you see for market mechanisms like trading and pricing in driving efficiency and innovation in the power sector?
Yeah, at the moment, Indian markets purely on market-based energy is still a small sort of percentage, but gradually as more and more renewable and more decentralized generation come in, their share in the market share in the total energy transaction will increase, and it is again. India is a very vast country. We have traditionally the power purchase agreement based on which the energy generations are, energy projects are being developed. So I don't foresee that in immediate future we're going to have a very drastic change, but it is a slow evolving process.
Okay.
And but the way the the energy sector is moving by becoming more decentralized, the share of market share in the total energy transactions will increase, and competitiveness will come there. But it will be a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight, and I don't think also we should try for let the market evolve itself, because we are moving from a legacy system to a newer system. You have to have the confidence. And secondly, the large number of buyers are the discoms. Now they have their own structural issues which needs to be addressed. So it will be a movement. What is required is a nudging from the policymakers and the regulators. How more and more people come to more and more stakeholders come to the market and do their transactions on the market. So it will be a slow movement. That is my understanding. But once that tipping point comes, the market itself will bring in efficiency and innovations, because it will be competitiveness is the key driving factor. So it by nature the market will force to become more efficient and also go for innovation wherever possible.
From your perspective, what must utilities and regulators do differently today to prepare for tomorrow's challenges?
Yeah, the first thing I always been saying that regulators should have eyes and ears open to see what is happening globally. The technology changes so rapidly. Then power sector specifically is so dynamic, and you should know what is happening globally, because what is happening outside the country, who is going to gradually, not only gradually, is going bound to come into the our system and our country. So they should be aware what are the things that is being developed outside, and accordingly get prepared for that. Most of the policy and regulations normally are basically sort of reactive, in the sense that something happens very close, and then you react to that and frame the policy and regulations. What we should do we should have continuous interaction with the stakeholders, have a global perspective, get engaged with a lot of research institutions, and globally seeing what is happening, and understand that what are the forces or whatever the dynamics that is going to affect the power system. May not be happening in India today, but maybe in the next few years, and get prepared for that, so that you can have a framework, both policy and the regulatory, to facilitate those changes smoothly or seamlessly into the system. So what regulator and policymakers should do is basically be aware of what is happening outside, study it, get prepared for that, understand the consequences, and create that framework, so that those changes which are beneficial for the consumer, for the system, and for bringing efficiency can come into the system very, very seamlessly.